As far as I can see right now, we're also without Ainslie, so we'll come to PH and go for 5 or 10 minutes. Then we might have a bit of a team chat about a chart, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I will show you some charts, definitely. And the first chart I want to look at here is the pound CAD, and this is a weekly chart. This is a weekly chart for pound CAD, and I've noticed that. Well, and by the way, I've got two things on my charts, right? Two indicators on my charts. One is the 200-day EMA, exponential moving average, which I just use to determine overall bullishness or bearishness, apart from price action, and I've got the monthly pivot. And generally, if price is above both of those, I'm bullish. If price is below both of those, I'm bearish. And if price is between them, then I'm usually undecided. So look, I think a few weeks ago I was watching the euro pound with some interest, and the euro pound did the opposite of what I was expecting it to do, and so now I've turned into a pound fan. The pound US dollar has been a good trade. I think we took that on the Daily Wave Rider with the Daily Wave Rider group earlier last week, this week, and we're doing fantastic on the pound US dollar. And I'm starting to look for crosses now. That is still going to benefit from the relative strength of currencies like the pound versus relative weakness of other currencies. And I do tend to agree with Orlando that the CAD itself looks a little bit overextended to the downside, and could potentially have some retracement value there. And of course, if that happens, this pair will also benefit from that. So what we have here in terms of chart patterns, we've got a kind of a flagpole here. We've got I think it's what they call a falling wedge. And it's not quite at the top of the flag. It's kind of, like someone's pulled the flag down a little bit, but you can see it's undeniable on the bottom here and on the top. You've got at least 3 touches, which means I can draw these trend lines here with some legitimacy. And on Friday we broke out of that. And so we're above the monthly pivot, well above the 200-day moving average, and we've broken out of this consolidating area here. Now, if you want to be optimistic about this, if you measure the flagpole here, it's about 900 pips. So from the base of the flag to the next, target here, if you measure 900 pips up to there, it's about the 181 level. Yeah. Now, of course, if you're trading trends on the daily time frame, or maybe even on the intraday time frame, maybe 4 hours or so, you might not want to stay in this for the entire duration. I can definitely see some resistance here at 177. I can definitely see some potential resistance up here at there's a cross between a trend line, a pretty important trend line here, and my projected flagpole there. And I'm just going back to the weekly chart. You can see that there's also a trend line here with 2 touches. Do you think that price is going to have a little bit of profit taking when it gets to the potential 3rd touch of that trend line? Absolutely. But if it happens to break through that level of, probably around about maybe 179 or so, then we could head up all the way to this 181 level. And I went back and I looked at that target and saw see if I could find some horizontal, historical horizontal levels that also coincided with that target. And I found a couple of them there, back in 2014, 2016. So it is a legit level, so that's kind of a medium-term upside target there for the pound CAD. So I'm pretty keen to get long. Of course, to get in this straight away, you'll probably have to be a little bit patient. This could retrace, could come back all the way back down to this trend line, and so not such a fan of that, because these pairs, these crosses do tend to be a little bit more volatile than the majors themselves. So if we were to wait until maybe price got back down to about the tops of the previous congestion there at about 174.5, I think that might be a good place to place a long trade, or get in on with a stop loss below the Friday's candle. Any comments, any questions about that from the team?
Mate, I totally get your technical reasons, but you're a massive fan of relative strength, I know. Why the poor old CAD? Why the poor old CAD? Why not?
Right, okay, well, Geoff...
Why not the yen or the Swissy or the...
Geoff, great question. Okay, let me answer that question for you in pictures, mate. Okay, so here's a daily chart of the Aussie CAD, right? Aussie is pummeling the CAD, right? Here's a daily chart of the Kiwi CAD. Okay, the Kiwi CAD is is rallying. What else did you want me to compare it to?
Oh, just anything. It
well,
didn't really matter.
Look,
I just wondered why you chose the CAD, because the pound is kind of on fire anyway.
Yeah, well, it is, but with the exception of, I think, the US dollar, right? And then Orlando showed this chart earlier, right? And even this is starting to look, it's starting to look a little bit in less what do you call it? A bit less conviction there for the sellers, right? They tried to push it down on Friday, and they've created a bit of a long tail there. I think looking at the CAD yen, look at that big bearish engulfing bar. The CAD was doing fantastic until I think Abe has resigned, and obviously that's that and maybe some of the other contributing factors towards the end of the week have caused the yen to strengthen. I'm also very, very keen to see lower prices on the US dollar yen, but the CAD just seems to me to be, if you're going to pick one pair to trade against as a weak currency, the CAD is just on my target list at the moment. Does that answer your question, mate?
Yeah, mate, of course it does. Absolutely. And I don't disagree with you. I just wanted to know why.
And I even looked at the Euro CAD, right? And I thought to myself, you know what? This Euro CAD also looks a little bit like, in the bigger picture of things. And I know you're waiting for Batman to appear here.
Yep.
He's I think Batman might be out of town, mate. But just looking at previous.
You just shine that light there, mate. He'll be back.
Horizontal levels and look, these things, these are frustrating for trend traders, right? Because you're trying to get in long here and it just keeps going lower and lower, but eventually it might make a higher low here. But the euro just seems to be, we were all in love with the euro a few weeks back, and the euro's just become an underperformer lately. So I'm much more keen on the pound CAD as a way to maximize the pips here than the euro CAD, but the euro CAD might still rally. Yep,
guys. If I can jump in here for a second, I like the analysis, PH, and I like the reasoning here. I really do, and it's interesting because CAD's the one that's weird, right? Because Kiwi rallied, Aussie rallied. If CAD had rallied, we'd have called this a commodity rally, but it didn't. And this is why this Jackson Hole exit looks weird, because the things that are supposed to correlate aren't
Thursday,
correlated. Yeah, look, still, Geoff, you're talking about a US dollar collapse in some ways against the Aussie and the Kiwi on Friday following Jackson Hole, and the CAD just didn't jump in, and it means that the Jackson Hole reaction hasn't been consistent. We're not seeing dollar strength and we're not seeing dollar weakness, depending on what we're looking at. We are seeing dollar strength and we're seeing dollar weakness, and it's left people coming out just going, well, that's been interesting. So for mine, it's just not clear, and it's why we need to be pretty careful going forward, because we will see one or the other. By the way, Helen, I've still got all the sound. Hello to you, by the way, and I've still got all the sound. So the sound must be your end as opposed to our end, I am guessing. Look, guys, we had a great question from Chan. He said, hey, Big O, can you look at silver?